What if someone you thought was dead suddenly comes back? This creepy Indonesian horror movie shows that some secrets won't stay buried and neither will the dead. Lembayung movie isn't just another ghost story. It is darker, more intense, and packed with moments that'll totally freak you out. A haunted hospital, a girl who died by suicide under strange circumstances, and a woman stuck between this world and the other. If you love scary movies with creepy vibes, unexpected jump scares, and mind-bending twists, then you're in the right place. This isn't just a movie recap, it's a ride straight into your worst nightmare. The movie starts with a girl drowning in water, but suddenly she snaps out of it. It was just a hallucination. As she regains consciousness, she realizes she's actually hanging by a noose. She struggles to free herself and screams for help, but no one hears her. Sadly, she dies right there. It is clear that this wasn't suicide. Someone murdered her by hanging. The girl's name is Tantrai, and she was a doctor. A few days earlier, Tantrai helped deliver a baby using hydrotherapy. But after the birth, when she checked the baby's heartbeat, something dark came over her face like a shadow. A nurse named Ida saw her and asked, "What's wrong, Tantrai? You look so worried." But Tantrai didn't answer. She just rested her head on Ida's shoulder and started crying. The next day, Ida brought in another pregnant woman for hydrotherapy. But as soon as Ida entered the room, she screamed like she saw a ghost. But it was just a cockroach. Ida told the pregnant woman, "You wait here, I'll go get the doctor." But suddenly the pregnant woman screamed even louder. When Ida rushed back and pulled back the curtain, she didn't see a bug or cockroach. She saw Tantrai's dead body hanging from the ceiling. Both Ida and the patient were frozen with fear. The scene shifts and we meet two young women, Paika and Aram, who arrive at a newly reopened hospital for their nursing internship. But the security guard tells them there's no internship here for girls. Paika and Aram explain that they've come a long way for this opportunity. Then a staff member tells them, "Okay, you can stay here for tonight, but by morning you'll have to leave. For now, only male interns are accepted here." Just then, Ida appears and takes them inside the hospital. Paika and Aram are confused and nervous, thinking that, will they really be kicked out after coming all this way? They were referred here by someone important. Aram tells Paika to go speak with someone in the admin office. There a man assures her, "Don't worry, I'll speak to the hospital owner myself. You'll get the internship for sure." When Paika returns to their room, she finds Aram on the phone, talking about some pills she took, ones she bought herself from a pharmacy. Aram seems extremely stressed. As soon as she sees Paika, she quickly ends the call and rushes out of the room. Paika runs after Aram and tells her, "Hey, there's blood on your skirt." Aram panics even more and rushes toward the bathroom. But as she walks down the hallway, she starts to feel uneasy, like someone is following her. And she is actually right. We see a creepy hand slowly reaching out toward her from behind. Aram suddenly feels like someone just touched her back. She quickly turns around, but no one is there. Thinking it's just her imagination, she shakes it off and opens a door, assuming it is the bathroom. But it is not a bathroom. She accidentally enters the hydrotherapy room instead. Still thinking she's alone, Aram begins to change her clothes there. Suddenly, the faucet on the sink turns on by itself and blood starts pouring out. Startled, she quickly shuts it off, but another faucet in the room turns on too. This time it is just clean water. Trying to calm herself, she washes her face and hands using the second faucet. But then she hears footsteps, someone walking around inside the room. Feels like someone is standing right behind her. Aram nervously pulls the curtain back, but no one is there. Now she is really scared. She tries to leave the room, but it feels like something is pulling her from back. We even see a shadowy black hand reaching for her, but when she turns around, it disappears. Suddenly, someone calls her name from the hallway. Aram turns and sees Ida standing there. Ida asks, "What are you doing in here?" Aram replies, "I was looking for the bathroom and ended up here by mistake." The next day, the person who recommended Aram and Paika to the hospital talks to the head of management, a man named Tito. Tito tells them, "This hospital just reopened after 5 years. We're short on staff, so I'm giving you both permission to do your internship here." That day, Tito, who is also a doctor, takes Aram, Paika, and the other staff to an outdoor medical camp to treat local people. But strangely, no one from the town shows up for treatment. In fact, the locals are scared to even go near the hospital because 5 years ago, a girl died by suicide in that very building. Meanwhile, Paika overhears the word suicide and is completely shocked. But Tito says that incident happened years ago. There's no point in talking about it now. A little later, Tito tells another doctor named Ringo, take everyone back to the hospital. I have still got some work to finish here at the camp. So everyone leaves with Ringo except for Aram. She has somewhere else to go. Turns out, Aram went to meet a friend at a hotel, but the guy starts getting physical with her. Aram pushes him back and says, I didn't agree to it back then either. You put something in my drink. That's why we got close that night. And now I'm the one paying for it. I had to buy pills from the pharmacy because I'm pregnant. The guy responds, then what's the problem? I'm ready to take responsibility for the baby. But that just makes Aram even more angry. She says, you might be ready, but I'm not prepared for such a big responsibility. Back at the hospital, Tito gives an order to clean the hydrotherapy room thoroughly so it can be reused for something else. That night, Aram is on night duty with Tito. After all the patients leave, Tito tells her, there's still 30 minutes left of our shift. If another patient comes in, call me. Then he walks out. Soon after, Pika peeks into the room and asks Aram, how was your shift today? Aram replies, it went fine. While they're chatting, something strange happens. A weird girl suddenly walks into the room without even looking at them and quietly sits down in a chair. Aram asks, who are you? You didn't book an appointment. The girl slowly turns her head and says in a creepy voice, my appointment was booked a long time ago. She gives a twisted weird smile and both Aram and Pika feel a chill run down their spines. Pika says, I'm going to the front desk to report her. And she leaves. Now Aram is all alone in the room with the girl. The girl just keeps staring at Aram with that disturbing smile. Aram asks for her name and she replies, my name is Tantrai. This is the same Tantrai we saw at the beginning of the movie, the one who died by suicide. Aram gets scared and turns her face away, but Tantrai continues to stare at her. Water starts dripping from Tantrai's mouth, which makes Aram even more scared, but she bravely walks up and tries to wipe it off from Tantrai's face. Suddenly, Tantrai places both her hands on Aram's stomach. Aram gets even more terrified but tries to stay calm. Then, out of nowhere, Tantrai lunges at her and screams right in Aram's face. At the same time, all the lights go out. The sudden shock leaves Aram frozen in fear. She shakily pulls out her phone, turns on the flashlight, and starts looking around the room. But Tantrai is gone. Aram tries to leave through the door, but it slams shut right in her face. She runs to the window to call for help, but the window shuts on its own too. Suddenly, she hears the sound of something breaking behind her. She turns around and sees Tantrai standing in the same spot, banging her head repeatedly against the wall. As soon as she sees Aram, Tantrai charges straight at her. Aram drops to the ground in fear, and just like that, Tantrai disappears again. Now everything goes quiet. Aram tries to stand up, but her body feels strangely very heavy. She walks over to a mirror and sees Tantrai sitting on her shoulders. Before Aram can react, Tantrai attacks her face, knocking her down. Aram lets out a loud, terrified scream and Tito rushes in, trying to bring her back to her senses. The scene shifts and now we see a janitor. This guy had been really rude to Aram before. One night, the janitor is driving the ambulance and tries to overtake a truck. But as soon as he does, he suddenly sees Tantrai standing right in front of his vehicle. Terrified, he throws the ambulance into reverse. He tries to overtake the truck again, but this time, a bus comes right at him. He slams on the brakes, but the truck crashes into the back of the ambulance. Metal rods from the truck pierce through the ambulance and go straight into the janitor's body. He dies there instantly, and then we see Tantrai's ghost in the front mirror. Everyone at the hospital is horrified by the janitor's brutal death. Seeing his body, Aram starts crying. Pika asks her what's wrong. Why are you crying? Aram says, yesterday this guy treated me so badly. I wished something bad would happen to him, but I didn't really want him to die. Did this happen because of me? Pika tries to comfort her. No, this isn't your fault. Meanwhile, Ida and another janitor are assigned by Tito to clean up the hydrotherapy room. But the more they try to fix things, the worse everything gets. Faucets break on their own, the generator keeps failing, and things in the room just fall apart by themselves. The janitor finally says, this room can't be fixed. It should just be sealed forever. So they decide to build a wall to block off the entrance. After finishing the work, the man is about to leave, but suddenly all the lights go out. He hears footsteps nearby and thinks maybe Ida is back. He turns on the generator and says to Ida, why would you come back here so late? But the generator shuts off again. He turns on his phone flashlight and starts looking for her. Then we see Tantrai's ghost hanging upside down on the wall behind him. As soon as he turns around, she appears right in front of his face. Her terrifying twisted face makes him scream in fear. He runs without looking back and escapes the hospital, running as fast as he can. Eventually, he reaches a river. There's a tree trunk laid across it like a bridge. He tries to walk across it but slips and nearly falls, but he manages to grab the trunk and hang on. While he's struggling to climb back up, Tuntry's ghost rises from the water and grabs his leg, pulling him under. He somehow escapes and makes it back to the hospital, soaking wet and shaken. He starts searching everywhere for Ida, desperate to tell her something. Finally, he spots her in a hallway, but when he calls out to her, she doesn't respond. Instead, she walks into a room, acting totally strange. The man follows Ada into the room, but once he's inside, he can't find her anywhere. Suddenly, he slips and falls on the floor. Right then, a grass-cutting machine turns on and falls right on top of him. The machine keeps running until he dies. Then we see that it was Tuntry's ghost who was controlling the machine and killed the man. That night, Pika and Aram were sleeping in the same room. Suddenly, both of them start shaking like they're being electrocuted. Pika wakes up and sees Aram shaking the same way. She quickly wakes Aram up. Aram says, "Do you remember that girl who sat in the dental chair that day? She was the one who came to you first. But when I saw her and tried to wake you up, she came toward me instead." Aram is clearly very terrified. She continues, "Her tongue was super long and she kept licking me with it. She was playing with my hair. That wasn't a normal human." Pika. The girls are still panicking when suddenly someone starts banging loudly on their door. A hospital staff member tells them that someone else just died. Pika and Aram rush to the scene and find the man's body completely torn up on the floor. Pika goes to comfort Ada since the dead man was actually Ada's husband. When she gets to Ada's room, she sees Ringo already sitting there, asking Ada to tell him the full truth. He says, "If you don't tell me everything, I can't protect you anymore." But right then Pika walks in and seeing her, Ringo gets upset and leaves. That same night, Pika sees Aram crying alone near the hospital lawn. Pika asks her what's wrong, but Aram doesn't want to talk. Pika says, "If you don't tell me, how can I help you?" Aram finally breaks down and says, "I've been assaulted multiple times here in the hospital, not just by my friend." Shocked, Pika asks, "Who did this to you here?" But before Aram can answer, Pika's phone rings. Meanwhile, Aram's friend is on his way home after meeting her at the hospital. On the road, Tantrai stops him and asks for a ride. She's beautiful, so the guy agrees and asks where she lives. She points in a direction and gets on the bike. As he drives her, suddenly he notices they've reached some strange bridge. Then Tantrai hugs him tightly from behind and the bike starts riding on its own. He tries to stop it, but nothing works. The bike flies off the edge of a mountain with him on it. Turns out the phone call Pika got was from the hospital, telling her about this accident. Pika and Aram rush to the hospital and see the boy's mom crying her eyes out. Aram gets emotional too and goes back to her hostel. There she packs her bags and decides to leave. Pika asks, "Why are you quitting the training like this?" Aram replies, "What's the point of all this training? In the end, I'll just have to take care of Demas forever. He never listens to me. He only forces me to do things. First, he made me drink, then he assaulted me. And now that I'm pregnant, he's forcing me to get an abortion." Hearing this, Pika is completely shocked. Aram had never told her any of this before. Before Pika can say anything, Aram says, "Why are you pretending like you didn't know? Didn't you know what Demas is like?" Pika responds, "No, it's not like that. Demas once tried to be close with me too. When he started pushing me to come to his room, I left him. That's why we broke up." But after hearing this, Aram seems to change completely. Her face turns cold and evil. It's clear that a demonic spirit has taken over her. She suddenly screams and faints on the spot. The next morning, Pika finds out that Aram already submitted her resignation letter. When she talks to Tito, he says, "I already accepted it. If someone doesn't want to work here, I won't force them." Pika then asks about the hospital's owner, who's never shown up. Tito laughs and says, "Actually, I'm the owner. I kept my identity hidden so I could observe everyone. Last time this hospital had to be shut down, and I don't want that to happen again." When Pika asks why the hospital was closed before, Tito quickly changes the topic and walks away. But now Pika really wants to know, why was this hospital shut down in the first place and what is really going on here? Pika searches on Google and finds out that 5 years ago, a doctor named Tantrai died by suicide in this hospital. She searches for Tantrai's photo, and in one of them, she sees Ringo standing next to her. Just then, Ringo comes out of the computer room. Seeing him, Pika gets scared and quickly leaves. But now she starts to suspect that Ringo might be hiding something. The next day, when Ringo steps out of the hospital for some errands, Pika secretly checks his bag. Inside, she finds a bunch of newspaper clippings. Every article talks about a gynecologist who committed suicide in this hospital 5 years ago. She also finds a photo album in the bag, but there are no pictures of faces inside. Instead, it's filled with women's hair, and each lock is labeled with a woman's name. One of the hairs belongs to Aram. Just then, Ringo returns to the hospital. Seeing him coming, Pika hides quickly. Ringo comes into the room, checks his bag and panics when he sees that the album is missing. He rushes out to look for it. While Ringo was out searching for the missing album, Pika took the chance to sneak out of the room. But right outside, she bumped into Tito. He asked, "Why are you running like that?" Pika said, "I found some proof against Ringo. I think he's connected to Tuntri's death. Maybe he was the one who physically assaulted Aram too." Hearing that, Tito took Pika far away from the hospital and told her, "I can still feel Tuntri's presence. She used to be a gynecologist here. One day I found out she had taken her own life. After that, people started talking about the hospital and it was shut down. I don't know why she did it, but I can tell you this, Tantri was a good person." After hearing this, Pika went back to the hospital. That night, she had a strange dream. In the dream, Tantri was crying in Ida's lap. Then suddenly she started digging a grave in a weird way. When Aram approached her, Tantri grabbed her hand and pulled her into the grave with her. That's when Pika woke up and realized it was all just a dream. But before she went to sleep, Aram had been lying next to her. But now Aram was gone. Worried, Pika went looking for her and called Tito, telling him that Aram was missing and couldn't be found anywhere in the hospital. That's when Pika noticed part of the ceiling above the hydrotherapy room was broken. A ladder was set up underneath. She climbed up and saw Aram sitting up there, possessed by some dark force. Aram was muttering to herself while sitting in a bathtub full of water. As Pika got closer, Aram suddenly grabbed her and tried to drown her in the tub. Using that evil force, Aram kept pulling Pika under and letting her float back up over and over again. After being drowned so many times, Pika was almost dead. Barely able to lift her head from the water, she saw that Aram was gone and the room suddenly looked perfectly clean. When she opened the door and stepped outside, she saw Tito mixing something into a glass of water. A few moments later, Tantri walked in. Tito gave her the glass, and after drinking it, Tantri passed out. While she was unconscious, Tito assaulted her. When Tantri woke up and realized what had happened, Tito threatened her. "If you tell anyone about this, I'll kill you and your family." Still, Tantri tried to call someone to report everything. But Tito caught her, grabbed her by the hair and dragged her into the hydrotherapy room. Angrily, Tito yelled, "Didn't I tell you not to talk? Now face the consequences." He held her by the hair and repeatedly dunked her in the bathtub, drowning her slowly. Eventually, Tantri died there. Then Tito called 2 janitors and made them help stage the scene. They hung Tuntri's body to make it look like she had committed suicide. Even after hanging Tantri, she was still alive. When she regained consciousness, she desperately tried to survive. Just then, Ada arrived and tried to help her, but Tito stopped her. Later, to make sure Tantri died, Tito slit her throat. Right after witnessing all of this, Pika suddenly finds herself drowning again. This time, it's Aram who's holding her underwater with some evil force controlling her. Suddenly, Tito walks in and asks, "What are you two doing here?" Pika quickly says, "Everything's fine. I'm just taking Aram back to her room." At that moment, Aram seems to return to normal. Pika then asks her, "Why did you come here?" Aram replies, "I came to get an abortion myself." She also admits to Pika that Tito was the one who assaulted her. But before they can get back to the room, Aram faints again. Tito shows up, threatens Pika, and says, "If you tell anyone, I'll kill you too." Then he starts attacking Pika. When she tries to fight back, Tito stabs her hand with a pen. Pika screams, so Tito yells, "Shut your mouth." But before he can do more, Ringo shows up from behind and injects Tito in the neck with a huge syringe. Tito passes out quickly. Ringo tells Pika, "You're safe now. I was Tuntri's fiancé. That's why you saw 2 of us in that photo." He continues, "When Tantri died, she was pregnant, but I wasn't the father. I always suspected everything happened to her inside this hospital, but I couldn't go to the police because Tito was too powerful. He would have killed me too. Even after all this, I wanted to marry Tantri. But the very next day, they found her hanging in this hospital." Ringo adds, "I'm sure Tuntri's spirit is still here, haunting this place and taking revenge. I think the only way to stop this is to destroy that hydrotherapy room." While they are talking, Tito regains consciousness and stabs Ringo from behind. Smiling wickedly, Tito says, "You're right. The baby Tantri was carrying, it was mine." Pika, terrified, grabs Aram and runs. Meanwhile, Tito lights a cigarette and smokes like nothing happened. We then get a flashback showing why Tito turned into such a monster. His father used to abuse his mother constantly. Tito grew up watching it every day. One day, he decided to end it and poisoned his dad's juice, killing him. Back in the present, Tito thinks, "Now it's my turn to kill everyone just like my father." He starts searching for Pika and Aram to finish them off. Meanwhile, Ringo is still alive. He bandages his wound and drags himself to the hydrotherapy room to destroy it. Just as Tito is about to attack Pika and Aram, Ada stabs Tito in the chest from behind. She says, "Enough is enough. Your game ends here." Ada then rushes to Aram and asks, "Are you okay?" Aram looks at her and asks, "Do you know Tantrai?" The moment Ada hears that name, she's stunned and replies, "Yes, I do." Then Aram gently touches her nose to Ada's, just like Tantrai used to. That's when Ada realizes the spirit inside Aram is actually Tantrai. Ada starts crying and says, "I still miss you so much." But before she can say anything else, Tito attacks Ada from behind one last time. Then Tito tries to kill Aram, but he doesn't know that Tantri's spirit has taken over her body. Aram kicks Tito so hard he flies across the room. Then she jumps on top of him and scratches his eyes out with her nails. Just as she's about to stab Tito with a knife, Pika shouts, "Stop! That's enough. It's over now. Your revenge is complete. It's time to let go." Ringo already destroyed the hydrotherapy room. Now your soul can finally be free. After hearing that Tantri's spirit leaves Aram's body. Then Pika takes Aram and leaves the place. The scene cuts to a few days later. Now Tito is in jail. One day his wife comes to visit him. She says, "I saw Tantri's ghost at the hospital before all of this happened. That's why I kept warning you again and again, but you never listened." As Tito walks closer to her, it's revealed that Tantri's spirit never actually left. She has now possessed Tito's wife because her revenge isn't over yet. The main killer, Tito, is still alive, and until he's dead, Tantrai won't rest in peace or leave this world. And with that shocking reveal, the movie ends here. So what did you think about this movie and my explanation? Let me know in the comments. Also, let me know in the comments what you would do if a spirit came back for revenge like this. How would you have handled the situation? I really want to hear your thoughts. I'm always waiting to read your comments, so feel free to drop your suggestions too. Tell me how I can make my videos even better because this channel is all about you. I'll try my best to make content just the way you like it. So that's all for today. See you in the next video.